Live from AZTV's Phoenix location in the London Center, it's the Pat McMahon Show.
But it's good to have you with us. It's always good to have you with us, especially on a day like this when I know that some of you are going to have your lives changed. Oh, sure, little Irish guy with grand promises, huh? Well, I happen to have an Italian guy that's going to join me in just a couple of minutes, and he is going to change your life because he has told you that now for the last umpteen years. He's been around on television almost as long as I have, telling you about your waistline, your sleep habits, all kinds of things about your personal life. Sam Maranto is here, and we're going to be talking to him about his latest area of interest, and I think maybe it has something to do with your life. Sam Maranto, what a career this man has had. This is the first time, Sam, that we have been on the air together for about 107 years, I think.
About 20.
About 20 years before we became a state, I think, that we got together. But Sam, listen, you are all over television. You are one of the best known people with your media personality and all the things that you do. But introduce yourself now to all the folks who just moved here from Schenectady.
I'm Sam Maranto. For almost 3 decades, I've been at the same address. Not many people can say that. And we've been doing the same thing, teaching people how to lose weight. You got to have me back to talk on other subjects. We're going to talk about weight today, but
well, we may drop into this. This is a very informal kind of a broadcast. We don't have any kind of rigid format here, as is evident to most of the people who watch. But Sam Maranto came here. You've been that many years at the same address, but before that address, you grew up where?
I was born in Niagara Falls, New York, and brought up right near Joe Arpaio, Worcester, Massachusetts.
Well, you're
he
my
comes
friend.
from Springfield.
You're my friend anyway.
And I was brought up in Worcester, and I had my first center with a licensed medical doctor by the name of Mario Moretti. Well, we ran a test for 1 year, and the doctor at the end of the year had scientific proof that this method was more powerful than anything he ever seen. And that's how I got into doing what I do. It was kind of accidental. In fact, I was in a tornado in 1953.
I was just reading about that for the first time. Never heard that story. Where was that?
Yeah, it was in Worcester, June 5th, I believe it was, 1953. I was working as a salesman door to door, and 90 people died where I was standing. My wife was spared to do the work that I'm doing today, and I really believe that.
You were there with the Electrolux vacuum cleaners going door to door.
Right.
And the tornadoes swept through?
Right. And there was about 8,000 people injured. In fact, on my website, they can see photos of the actual tornado. It was the 10th worst tornado in history.
Did it change your life spiritually?
I think it did to a degree, because I've always mentioned the Lord in my work. And the reason why I get results and no one else can get the results that I get is because I call upon that power from God. An example, this was in the Arizona Republic in the main news.
Here, I tell you what,
on
let me
page
hold
10,
it up. Okay.
And it said low carbs are dangerous, and then it mentions God's health plan. He intended us to eat from the garden. Our bodies were designed for that. But right here, there's a man that's 700 pounds, and here he is 500 pounds a year later, and here he is today 350 pounds. He shed 350 pounds.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that ad, and I got to tell you, that is really effective.
But you know what's more interesting to look at? Here's a lady, 260 pounds, 25 years ago, walked into my office a couple months ago, and she says, "Hey, remember me? I'm Debbie." I says, "Yeah, I remember you. I have a photo of you when you weighed 260. She weighed 120 pounds 25 years later.
But all the people now who are watching,
nobody
are
can
saying
show
the
you
same
that.
thing. They're saying, okay, I know Sam is on television, but I just moved here, and I don't know what his work is. Is he a doctor? Is he a nutritionist? Is he a dietitian? What does he do?"
Well, actually, I'm a behavior modification expert, and I use guided meditation. The word hypnosis is a dirty word. I was with Charles Bronson a couple years ago before he died, and so what do you do? I said, well, something like hypnosis. He jumped 2 feet in the air. A lot of people, a lot of
I
church
didn't know that
people.
it was a negative.
Oh, they think you're going to make them act like a chicken and a dog. You know?
All right, well, those are nightclub guys, though. But hypnotherapy is certainly.
I have
accepted.
I have priests that come to me, ministers that come to me, people of all walks of life.
But you use hypnosis.
And I don't even mention the word hypnosis.
You can to me. I mean, it's a perfectly
I'm not going to
acceptable
mention to the people
therapeutic.
listening, because I have a lot of ministers and churches that say, hey, don't go to that guy, he's a hypnotist. And they frown, the Bible frowns against anyone taking control of your mind. Mm-hmm. But it does mention in the Bible guided meditation many, many times. And the Bible states, lay down in your bed, close your eyes, and open your mind to the Lord. Well, I'm not the Lord, but I feel that He's using me as an instrument to help people.
Boy, if the Bible is against people taking control of your mind, then
Right.
where did we get politicians, Sam? That's what I want to know. And when we get back, I want to talk to you about what it is that you do, whatever it is that you call it. I mean, I don't particularly care about
Guided
the name.
meditation.
Then I want to find out why it works, why these people were so successful, how long it lasts, and what you think of the Atkins diet, South Beach diet, and those kinds of things. Because when you're talking about people's weight, the more weight you've got on you, obviously, clearly, the more problems you potentially have with your health. Back in just a moment on AZTV, The Pat McMahon Show with Sam Moranto. Sam Moranto, behavior modification specialist, works with meditation, and he works on the basis of the fact that there's a lot of things in your life that might be troubling you, a lot of things you might want to modify in your behavior. And one of the areas of specialty, but only one, Sam, as I understand it, is weight control. You work with people on other problems too.
Oh, we work on depression. You know, so many people are labeled with a chemical imbalance. Most of these people had a divorce, a loss of a loved one, a bad childhood experience, and then they get a label, a chemical imbalance. Well, when a person's not happy, you're going to have a chemical imbalance.
And sometimes the weight gain comes also with the depression.
Oh,
huh?
definitely. You were talking about the different diets, the South Beach and Dr.
Atkins, all of those things, right.
Let's take Dr. Atkins. 72 years old. His autopsy revealed that he had heart problems, clogged arteries, and was obese. His wife's on Larry King with a high-powered, fast-talking doctor saying that the Atkins diet is a good diet. It's a dangerous diet, mainly because we process our food mainly through our kidneys, 96%, 4% through the stool, and you're taxing your kidneys, and you end up with colostomy bags, and you'll end up with a lot of serious problems, in my estimation. Now, I'm 72. I'm still doing the same things I did at 42. And for an example, Larry King should have me on his show, show a comparison. Here's one guy, 72, that died of obesity. Here's a guy still doing the same things. I think it would make an interesting show.
What is it that Atkins is doing wrong?
Well, first of all, too much meat. If you read your Bible, on the sixth day, God gave us plants, herbs, seeds, and trees as thy food, and He given animals the same. And when He looked down and said we were all evil in our hearts, He destroyed all the plant life, and then He said, go ahead and eat animals. That's when the problem started. It was no more 500, 700 years. 35, 40, 50 years was tops then. I think God's plan was get rid of us faster so we wouldn't get in as much trouble. Can you imagine if you could live to be 500 years old? My way of eating, nobody's got it. I was reading in the paper the other day, just yesterday, of all these diets, and I read the breakfasts, and they were all poison, every one of them, in my estimation. They're poisoning the public. Diabetes is one of the worst problems we got out there, especially amongst the blacks and the Mexican people. And the main reason for that is not just their diet. It's because it's a little harder for them than it is the white folks. And therefore, you have the mind has something to do with diabetes, which they should explore more than just the diet. Here's a guy here, Dan Martin, 320 pounds, came back to me 14 years later, just a couple months ago, walked in my office. He says, I'm Dan Martin. I had a photograph of him. He only weighed 190 pounds, kept it off 14 years, and he got married again to a woman much younger than himself. I guess some of my tapes rubbed off on him.
Okay, but what is it that you do? If the Atkins diet is dangerous and some of these other diets that happen to be hot, popular, fattish are dangerous, what is it that you do that's successful?
Well, I wish we had a whole week to talk about this. It's pretty hard to explain it in a few minutes. But our digestive tract is a sewer system, and it's approximately 25 to 30 feet long if you were to stretch it out. And when you combine certain foods that take an alkaline to digest and an acid to digest, you get a backup which causes acid reflux and causes obesity that spills into our body. What I did was take the Bible. I happen to be an inventor. I have 3 United States patents on different subjects. But I invented a method that you eat like the Old Testament in the morning and the afternoon, and you eat like the New Testament in the evening. Now, you're not going to make 500 or 700 years old, but you'll make 100, and you'll be able to get around without being in a wheelchair.
Well, specifically, what is an Old Testament diet? Just give me a dish, give me a meal out of the Old Testament and a New Testament one too.
Well, to give you an example, I don't know, this comes to mind. My wife's grandfather's in the hospital with a stroke, and I go there and I look at his breakfast. And he's complaining that he never had stomach problems, now his stomach's hurting. The hospitals are poisoning the people too in the diet. What I teach people, and I can give you the recipe right here on the air, it still won't work. And the reason why it won't work, you need to get in between the ears and you need to get deprogrammed and reprogrammed so this thing will work. And what I teach is called fruit, roots, and hearts. It's not a diet. It's a lifestyle.
Do you eat meat at all?
Yeah. Now, on my particular way of eating, you can have fruits and nuts, potatoes, rice, beans, spaghetti, pizza, steak, lobsters, prime rib. I'm 165 pounds. Okay.
Is there anything that you do prohibit?
Yeah. Alcohol, you want to go in moderation, and refined bread and so forth, white flour products, and sugar. You can do it in moderation. But I teach people how to eat, and they eat everything. We don't even give them a diet. It's just amazing. If everyone knew about my way of eating, the Atkins diet and Dr. Phil will have to get another job someplace.
So do you have a book? I see you have tapes over here.
Yeah. I want to present this. This is called Unlock the Power Within. Mm-hmm. I made these for a national television show with Mary Jo West and Dan Haggerty of Grizzly Adams.
Yeah.
And the show was called Unlock the Power Within. It went nationally. And I'm going to present you, I have just a few of these left.
Terrific.
I think you'll find them enjoyable.
Will this make me any taller?
Well, maybe a couple inches, if we stand on you a little bit.
Listen, I will be the moderator for your next one then. That would be
This
terrific.
is what I want to give you. This is my recipe that I'm going to give you.
Yes.
And this is the A part of it, and how to eat. And this is the part you need to listen to a number of times to go into the mind and make it work, because you need both of them in order for it to work for you.
And we can always have good information, healthy information, as long as you know where it's coming from. In this particular case, it came from Sam Murato. And by the way, I'm assuming that everybody has an opportunity to get this in. This is not just available to me.
Well, I've got people in Saudi Arabia. I've got them in Canada and all over the world. Sometimes they do it over the website. Sometimes what they'll do is they'll call on our 800 number. People can enroll.
Which is available right here, whether you're in Saudi Arabia or Apache Junction, right?
Right. And what they can do is, if they can come into my office one time, it's the best. Find out what you need, then you don't have to come back. So if you live in Flagstaff, or if you live in Tucson, or wherever you live, you come one time, find out what you need. We design a program selected from 1,200 sessions that I have. We pinpoint the ones that you need, give them to you, and I don't have to bother with you anymore.
And you
just go get results.
You may wind up to be in Sam Murato's next newspaper ad. This is Pat McMahon on AZTV. Good health to you.